Once in a private April. Once she was a clean. Once in a private April. Once she was a clean. Once in a private April. Once she was a clean. Once she was a smoke. Once she was in a private. Once in a white satin bonnet. Once in a black silk gown. Once in a white satin. Once in a black silk gown. Once in a white satin. Once in a black silk. Once in a private. Once in a black silk in a white satin bonnet. Once in a heavy white satin bonnet. She was a heavy once I was reading. Once in a black silk gown, once in a white satin, once in a black silk gown, once in a white satin, once in a black silk gown, once in a heavy white satin, once in a black silk, once in a heavy lace veil. Here in my film, in a borrowed black silk gown, I make the first scene breezy and low. I use homemade special effects to show purple blossoms on the grass. A pause. Then something moves within the wetlands. I move my hand under the blue blanket and it ripples. I'm blazing with diamonds. I'm driving in the splendid equipage of my grandmother. Can I get you a fizzy soda? Can I ask about your eyes? Hers wasn't the hand moving under the reeds. Hers wasn't the hand digging canals. Hers wasn't the hand writing down names like Blomertsvlei and possibly having no idea the oysters would expire. Hers was a later hand. Hers was a deleting hand. Her hands made gentle sparks up and down the city's spine, and she was born as the serving maid Anna Trow. She was born in England and cleaned and married and became Anne Somers and had a daughter and came to New York and worked as a seamstress and was widowed and met the printer Charles Lohman, and together for many decades Anne and Charles Lohman wrote and worked and advertised and freely thought. She was a great writer of letters to the editor, and there were two of her. She had two names. And thinking in a book about the cervixes she touched, intelligent nub-nosed floral episodes, the turpentine or warm water spermicides, the post-coital douche. From my kitchen table with a dozen dark-etched and curated blossoms standing in a handmade pot, I tell you, this is a story about arrangements of time. In the tinted ceasefire of the flower jug, I appear. I move the forsythia branch here and there among the cut irises. April 2nd, in the New York Times, end of a criminal life. In 1878, after midnight on April 1st, she who was known as the wickedest, etc., got up in the pre-dawn, filled her tub with tepid water, unfastened her nightgown's diamond button, and opened her throat with a knife. The Times described her physical body, but they used her symbolic body's name. Faced with the two which are one and yet not the same, maybe I'll call her girlfriend, me not me, cosmic girlfriend of the cordgrass and of the quartz, not simply flesh and veins, but dark intangible flower that remains. When it snows, I cast out in the street, so shiny, and we can't see her. The city a treeless mark. The avenues were made of dust, and tea chests filled with coal ashes. A general boom. Would all the sperm of history rise again? Would all the Jersey meadows skip, as ladies wish to be, who love their lords? Introducing George Washington Dixon, stylish blackface performer, creator of Zip Coon, writer of meticulous guides to the city's brothels, journalist and editor for the sporting weeklies, white man fond of burnt cork and commercial sex. Only her fear of pregnancy prevents a woman from yielding to the sweaty contamination of 100 palms. In reporting the events leading up to her death, the Times described Lohman as desperate. Incidentally, the Reverend Joel Osteen and his wife Victoria described the demographic served by proceeds from their greeting card series as desperate young women. P.S. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Osteen, I thank you for your card. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Osteen, I am desperate. Please send funds. Introducing a physician of New York, a student of nature, a calm and philosophical observer, anonymous author of Madame Restell, an account of her life and horrible practices, 12.5 cents, and sold by all dealers in cheap books. Maternity is and should be the pride and glory of the married female. No woman has the right to tamper with her own constitution. I hope you will understand these men I introduce to you as tedious scenery, and now more brightly upon the screen appear two rivers pouring forth from two celestial tubs. From the west comes laughing fast the river is, and see my hand writing down the east, in spindly old mappish red, the river should be. The rivers is and should be border me, estuary me, make of me an archipelago. I feed kettle ponds, which is and should be kettle ponds between them. In my oaks, pale green orchids grow, which are and should be flowers, flashing in the river waters, silver sides, which are and should be fish. Dear student of nature, dear sir, The river is alone moves 1.5 million metric tons of sediment, ochre, silver, sable, gloom, and straw, with every loop around the sun, the cosmic black and best laid sands. You wouldn't need to say I should be it if I am. That she was again and again called bloody, as though it wasn't precisely blood that her clients were looking for. Her head is well formed. Her hair is admirably arranged. Her exquisite gold buttons. Her figures of bronze. Her one major imprisonment. Her two major trials. And the April 1st trial she didn't show up for. I unfold her black silk gown and make of it a living black silk doe, her white tail flicking free, and her riverstone nose to the grass. I have seen the wicked flourish like a green bay tree, begins a rather unflattering book published shortly after her death. While her figures of bronze and spacious parlors were certainly disturbing, it was her solid silver dining services that really drove them mad. Incidentally, what most obsessed the House Select Investigative Panel on Infant Lives when they interviewed Planned Parenthood President Cecile Richards in the early 21st century was her salary. No bootstrap love. No barren approbation. Then there was the eminent gynecologist saying, "Shall the West and South be filled by our own children or by those of aliens? This is a question our women must answer. Upon their loins depends the future destiny of the nation." Introducing Anthony Comstock, confiscator of obscene materials, eradicator of vice, enemy of infidels and free lovers, who you may know from his work as a special agent of the USPS. Dear Anthony, I'm taking you down off the shelf. I'm undressing you. You're dusty. Dear Anthony, you better come over to my house right now. I impound you. I force you to play poetry games. Have you ever seen the kind of porn that Comstock confiscated? A single hand-drawn cock stands up among ruffles and breeches in a bucolic scene, a fine lady about to sit down upon it. Comstock and other members of the New York Society for the Suppression of Vice were upset about race suicide, white ladies killing all the children she's not having. Not only killing the not-halved children, but killing some larger concept, which is somehow herself, because it is suicide. Very many people in America still worry about this on their websites. Anthony, I'm on a task force all about how to deal with you. Let's confiscate everything. Trash cans, apartments, seed pearl, underclothes, liquor, diesel, tune books. Let's make a pile of the world and sit on it. Then, very slowly, one by one, let's put everything back. Very quiet, gray-blue, white light sadness. Then a variation of palest rose in the sky. Echo of April again, ache of spring, a city street glossed with sun, the ochre crabapple buds, trains moving off into the distance on trellises in variations of rose light. Is it my sorrow that this is coming to an end? I want something very plain and very common to be true, that when you have one name, you always have two. Drifting away from your name is a shoreline. It is neither the garland of jasmine nor a necklace made of skulls. It's here with much blue milky wallpaper, with the whitish pattern raised to the touch, here within my dry township, within the illusion of the future as suture that I write. No music, February 1878. Comstock came posing as a customer. She asked him to come back and sold him a box of pills. He produced a warrant for her arrest. She invited him to ride with her in her carriage down to the station, and so together rode. And so we sway together, like fleas, in the long feathers of her hat. Held from the inside, we together ride.